So today I'm working up a Valentines swap. It's through Valentines Design. Just hit their 15 years. It is, you sign up through Instagram. Trying to look at it. Info at Valentines Design. Okay, so ValentinesDesign.com is the website. That's where I got the pretty Valentine wools. And then I was able to purchase this pattern off Etsy. Simply Aline. Cute as a button Valentine ornament. And she actually recommended Valentines Design for the felt. So that was kind of fun because I actually purchased the felt before finding the pattern. I went through, I don't have what they're calling stick and stitch sticker kits, where you draw the image onto the sticky sticker stuff that washes away, which is like a wash away stabilizer. It just has a sticky side. What I do have at home though is what's called a sew and wash. It was in my machine embroidery arsenal, but after reading what it is, it's telling me soft, stable fabric designed to dissolve easily in water. Used as a base to embroider lace or freestanding embroidery. So either way, it is like paper or fabric, but it's a wash away. So what I'm going to do is use this instead, and then I'll just use an Elmer's wash away school glue after I transfer my design. She is asking for a Frixion pen. I currently don't have one. I have Frixion colors, which are erasable by heat, but they are more of a marker type. So I will go ahead and try that if it wants to bleed, or if it looks too funny. I might just go ahead and use my water-soluble pencil to trace myself out there. I have followed the first couple steps. It's not my pattern to give away. It's not my pattern to show you guys, you know, her steps. That is something to be purchased. So I have started the process. I have my templates. So this video will just walk through, you know, here and there. Try out a new technique. It's cute. It's really, really cute. I'm going to go dig through my buttons. I know I have beads. So we'll see how this turns out. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this out with two different marking tools. I'll see which one I end up liking better when I go to stitch. This will be a first for me. The beauty of doing these videos, we all get to learn and make mistakes and try out new things together. It does make me curious about finding the one that says stick, which I'm guessing maybe Valentines would have had that too. I just didn't have the pattern prior to purchasing the wool, so it wasn't even on my radar to look up. I mean, the water erasable pencil to me makes sense because it's going to be washed away stabilizer, right? I'm going to have to run it underwater anyways. So that will get rid of the markings and the stabilizer. If I do the one with the Frixion, now I'm curious, I might not. I won't be able to iron away the ink, right? But I guess when the stabilizer gets washed away, the ink should disappear with it. Okay, so the circles are actually going to be buttons. Got to remember that so I don't actually stitch them. So she's going to be a button. So anything with the circle is actually going to be a button. And then I could do like the French knots, or she's using the beads. So it's just something I got to be mindful of. I am making 2. Should I try it with the fricks on? What do you guys think? It's not like you can answer me as I'm doing this. It's just if I stick my finger on it, the potential. We'll try a sample way down here. Give it a few minutes. I just don't want to be stitching, and see how it comes up on my finger. I would rather not, because as I stitch, all the black stuff's just going to smear all over the place. So we'll go ahead and do this twice. Okay, let's see how this goes. I'm assuming with the sticky one, you would just peel off a sticky layer, and that would be all she wrote. The beauty of Elmer School Glue, though, is that it is washable. So, let's all cross our fingers that when we go to wash the stabilizer and the pencil, the glue will disappear as well. We'll try this one by gluing the stabilizer, and we'll try the next one by gluing the felt. And that way we can see if there is any difference or if we like something better. Because you just never know until you try it. And while it's still purple, that means it's still wet. I would not feel comfortable putting the iron on this stabilizer. I want to assume it's just starch and maybe like cornstarch or starch and something. That's why it's washable, right? That's why it disappears when it touches water. Kind of like this stuff. It's called Badge Master Wash Away. Use on embroidery, sheer lightweight. I like to use something like this on my machine embroidery when I'm doing terry cloth towels. But as soon as the water gets it and it starts to dissolve, it actually turns into like starch. You can feel the difference in your fabrics. So I'm curious. I mean, obviously, 2 totally different products. But I'm curious, how is it washed away, right? What is it made of? Maybe I should have taken a piece to the sink and tried it out. Or we can do a science experiment right here. While those 2 dry. you what this stuff does. Okay, so there's the pencil, and then there's the starch, or stabilizer. Don't want to say starch, it could be totally wrong. We're going to spray it. Kind of sticky. So it's not 100% disappearing with only like the spray, but it is becoming very tacky, and then it disappears with the pressure. So yeah, I bet you it's some type of starch mixed with like, So what this tells me, because of how much force it needs on the water and the pressure of me touching it, is that when we are done stitching, we're not just going to spray it and expect it to disappear. We're going to go and run it under the faucet. This one, though, in my experience from doing machine embroidery, I have been able to just spray heavily and let it dry on a towel. But it wouldn't be for hand embroidery at all. I don't think anyone uses that for hand embroidery at all. So they look dry to me. I didn't glue the whole thing. You guys saw that. But it is holding nice and tight. I don't see why this is not going to work. Trying to remember which one. This one I glued the stabilizer down, and this one I glued the felt and put the stabilizer on top. So I totally thought I had more buttons. Maybe I've been sharing them in my swaps, which is totally possible. It's a light, like a super duper. Let's see here. Okay, so I turned the ring light off. Let's see if this glow light doesn't disrupt the video too much. So I thought I had more buttons, but I could have been sharing them in swaps, right? Like, that's what we do. We send goodies. But I think with what I do have, do you hear the cat? She's trying to come under the door. Sorry about that, but instead of her sitting there scratching the door, just be easier to open it. But I am thinking I should have enough. I'll keep digging around. I do think I have more somewhere. Just gotta find them all. So we're gonna need a large, she's using a large polka dot. These are going to 2 different people. So if they're identical or if they're completely different, it's okay. But I really like this guy. And I like that guy. So those 3 buttons of 3 different sizes. So possibly that one can go there. That one can go there. Maybe they can each get, that's large. Maybe they can each get a small blue. Seriously, don't mind her. She's like 4 months old and running around like a cuckoo head. I don't think green would work because we're making, ooh, hey, we got lucky. Because the stems are green, right? Our flower's green. White point something out. Scream at me from the camera. Maybe something like that. Should they switch? No, because it's going to get washed. Let's see. Well, that one's lighter. Because she has really cute ones. She's using... She's using a polka dot, another polka dot, and then a flower shape. Might have to hold the cat. And obviously I don't have anyone with textures. Where did all my buttons go? I used to have more. That one's out. It looks funky. So we got the purple flower. We got the cute little blue. That's going to get beads on the tops of it. And I think I'm fine with the pink and the... Because I don't want to put green. And wood, I don't think wood would be... Stop it, Kaylee. And navy blue would be... well, that's kind of cute on the... Oh, this is not going to be easy for me. Nope. Go with the first. That way I don't overthink it. Okay, we'll be back to start stitching. You guys want stitching on this video? Maybe not, because I'll have to sit down and set the camera up. We'll just come back after I get started. What I did want to do was talk about threads. I had the thread basket sitting here. So we're going to go for greens on all the stems. It looks like she just used one green. I mean, she didn't... Looks all the same color to me. She does have a blue for these flowers here, which I think is cute. And then she's showing a lot of beads. So depending on what beads I can find, if I can't find small enough ones in my buckets over there, I'll probably just do the French knots. Because mine are like random mixed. The ones that are small like that are so mixed and random. I don't think I'm going to have exactly those little white glass beads at the moment. But I don't mind doing French knots either. And then if I do find some white ones, I can put them in the centers there. But yeah, I'll just go with the green for the threads, or for the vines and stems and all that. Go for the blue like she did. So to pop on real quick in the process of all the stitching, I busted out way more colors than I thought, but that's okay. So the green is still the green. The blue is still the blue. And then what I did was I matched the buttons. This one does not match, but I didn't want that pinkish beigeish to, to disappear into the felt. Same with that one. Even if I would have switched, it would have disappeared. So on this one, I'll keep them together. But on this one, that darker pink I found to be a little necessary. I didn't use any beads at all. She is, let me bring it back out again to show you. So there's a bead in the center for 2 flowers. There's a bead all the way around. So mine are not small enough, but that is okay. Got my French knot thingamajiggies. Or, no, that one's not a French knot. There's a word for it. Give me a second. Is it a... We'll have a brain fart in the middle of doing this video. That is called... Stitching, page 9. You guys are probably watching this saying, I know what that's called. It is a well, a French knot's going to only be the knot, but I'm doing the one, there it is, pistol stitch. So that's what I ended up doing. And remember, I'm completely new to all this hand stuff. So that's what I ended up doing there in place of her small beads. But the yellow, which, I don't know, maybe the next one can have a different color. We'll see. I didn't want to wash it yet. I wanted to go ahead and get both done. Go ahead and wash both at the same time. That way they can dry. Don't mind the mess. I probably should have tied off the yellow, but I didn't. Just ran it across there. So that is my current update. The glue is still holding nicely. The glue held nicely on this one. So I am pleased with that. So here it is before any of the buttons. Just the hand stitching. Which, I mean, it would be cute, even without buttons, to go ahead and form, you know, a flower there, a flower there. I mean, maybe the next time I make these, I can do that. Alrighty, so I'm going to attach the buttons, and then I'm going to go ahead and give them a wash. So both pieces have been rinsed. What I did was lukewarm water. I used the pressure of the faucet. I kind of brought it up, and I just traced out the heart shape. I traced, you know, up, down, each of those. Placed them onto a washcloth and then covered with another washcloth. Pushed a little bit of pressure just to kind of squeeze out any water anywhere. Wool is actually water repellent, so it shouldn't soak into it. It's just wet, you know, on the threads and then underneath the buttons. So there they both are. And again, like, they're not wet to the touch, but that thread is. I could, you know, feel the coolness on my hands. What's going to happen next is we're going to make the part 2, which is the scalloped edge. And then, so I'm going to cut 2 of those out. Just got to find some colors. So, for example, that I would not do because the colors are too similar. But I would put the cream on that pink. What I might be able to do out of the current pieces that are already cut is to flip-flop them. So if I got the heart out of the cream, maybe I can get the scalloped out of the cream and then use it for the pink. Just flip-flop them. Make them reverse in their colors. So I'll go ahead and trace and cut out some of those, and we'll figure out what that next step is. So I did decide to just do the alternating colors. I just used, so those 2 were on the same piece. He'll now come here, just like those 2 were on the same piece. I still need to figure out a color for the back. It does take 3. So either I'll use what came in the bundle, or I might dig through my scraps and see what I have. I also need to find, so I need to find a thread that can either turn these into ornaments, which is what the pattern is showing them as. Cute little ornaments. And they are stuffed. I don't know if you guys can tell, but they are poofy on the front. Or I could potentially treat it like a decorative pillow or a very gentle pin cushion. I don't think I'd want to use it as a pin cushion only because of all the stitching. So I just got to figure out. I'm wondering if I could even put it, after I attach these two, put it onto a piece of fabric, add maybe a ruffle or some lace, and turn it into a decorative pillow. That might be fun. That way I can throw in some of my sewing skills. Let's see here. Okay, well, I gotta think on that now because I'm kind of curious about doing that. So just like in that other video where I was showing the crazy pillows that I was doing, I could attach the heart to the scalloped heart, prep up some fabric with some SF101 and get it stabilized. Go ahead and add the heat and bond to the back of the scallop, adhere it to the fabric, and turn it into more of a decorative pillow. Yeah, let me think on that. That might be kind of fun. Just wanted to pop in here while I was stitching these. I chose to do a blanket stitch versus a straight stitch that is called for in the sample on the pattern. And I chose not to stuff it. It is flat. And I am going to go ahead, find a fun fabric for the back, and turn these into larger pieces. So both pieces are stitched down. I'm very pleased with these. I am still very new to the hand embroidery stitching type of world, but even with my little mistakes and stuff, I am okay with them. Now, earlier in the video, we talked about that sew and wash stuff, and I did the sample on that towel to watch it disappear. I do feel that it is possibly like a starch. As I was stitching the blanket stitch around it, if my hand laid on it a little bit too hard, I could almost feel like the residue. And things are not as floppy as they were. So that's just what I found out. I went through, I found some SF, and I went ahead and just kind of rough measured, and I think I'm just going to go ahead with a 6.5 inch background and backing. And so I do like to stabilize that background fabric. So now it's just a game of let's dig through the scraps. I have my lovely scraps of pinks basket. And pink comes in so many shades, you guys. It's ridiculous. So it is going to be a matter of, can I get that 6.5? I need a back and a front. So there you go. That would be super cute as the back of that one, but I don't have enough for both. So maybe I would hate to waste the polka dot and not be able to see it. And I don't want to use a solid because that's just not as fun. I mean, I'll use one if I have to, but it's not as... So, grunge. I don't know if you know about grunge fabric. Grunge fabric is a Moda product. It is 100% cotton, and then it gets like a paint treatment. It goes through their machines multiple times to get the different layers. So here maybe it went through that fuchsia, then it went through that coral, and then it went through with that brown. So it is layered and textured, all different. It's really neat. But the other side of it shows its cotton color left in its natural state. So it can be used either or, which is really neat. So in this case, well, that could work actually. Just to give it some texture, because remember, that 6.5 is only leaving. And there is enough to do both sides. Or I could flip it over, go ahead and use it as it's plain. That one is really bright. But it is that pink there. And on this one, it is that pink here. But it's not screaming at me to be used. This is definitely, I think, a winner. This one is, gosh, it's old. I know this fabric is old. Might be too busy. That might work. The green's kind of going with the green. The yellow's kind of going with the yellow. Maybe that'll go in the maybe pile. All the other ones seem to be solid. I don't really think going to the darker pinks is the way to go here. I don't even think this one's going to be big enough. No. This one might be, though. That is 1/2 inch too short. I do have a bin of not scrappy pinks. But I will be honest, I am a scrappy type of fan. That is totally the wrong shades. You see that? That's just not even the right pink in any way, shape, or form. But there is this guy. And again, he's just a funny kind of pink. It looks like the button, but it doesn't go well. So we're going to get one out of this one. It'll be like that. And then I will use this as the back of the pillow. And then we're going to get one out of this one. Don't overthink it. And then that'll be the back of it as well. So I will go ahead and press up the scraps a little. And go ahead and cut both. mind all the fuzz balls. If you sew, you know. I mean, seriously, it's just crazy. Forgot to cut the SF-101. Wouldn't help if we didn't have that, huh? So this one is a little wonky in size, but that's okay. It's going to end up getting sewn and all that on the inside anyways. No, none of those corners are straight. We'll go ahead and adhere them. So the instructions on it actually says to use a wet towel to lay on it. I actually just spritz it with some water on the mister off to the side. SF-101 has an adhesive side and then a cotton woven side. Make sure that bumpies, make sure those bumps are down towards the back of your pretty fabric. You can kind of hear it sizzle. And then steam, possibly. I'm not sure if that's showing up. And then you just dry it. There's one. Same thing, I'm going to take my SF, the bumpy side's there, so I'm actually going to hold it this way. Go ahead and mist it. Put my pretty fabric face down. Take off any of those dark threads because they will show through later. Go ahead and place that. And then listen. It doesn't take long. I don't have the instructions at the moment. But if you're doing it with the wet towel, the timing is different. There's a small piece hanging off the edge there. The SF does shrink when it gets wet, but I must have had a little unevenness. So what I will do now is determine which one gets what. Can you see both on there? Yeah. So we can either go the dark pink, which is picking up here. That's picking up there. The green is picking up there. The yellow, right? And then that beige is right there. I mean, it's cute. I'm liking that one. This one is just a little bit lighter in general. So the pink polka dot just, you know, to me it almost enhances the stitch here. If I were to flip-flop them, that pink is kind of blending right in, but the polka dots are making that cream pop out. This one on here, I almost feel that the cream is getting lost. Maybe in the camera you can see it, but right here in person, I don't really see the shape. I do like that the hot pink is picking up. Actually, it's that one right there. I do like that the yellow, and again, the green, but I'm going to go with that. So I'll find the centers of my 6.5. I'll mark it somehow, even with the iron or a chalk. And then I'll go ahead and place the hearts on both. I'm going to forego the heat and bond, unlike I did with those flowers. I'm just going to go ahead and pin. I didn't heat and bond the two hearts together and it went fine. So after I find the centers, I'll just pin once, pin twice. Good to go. So I'll go ahead, fold it in half. fold it in half again. So the center of the heart is easy on that side. Let's see here. So just almost 3/4. That's coming out at half. A little bit more than half. And half. So that tells me to scoot up just a hair. So can you see that on there? We're just a hair off that 1/2 inch. We're just a hair off that 1/2 inch. That one's coming up at half. And that one's coming up just a half. So we are good to go. Of course, it doesn't have to be exact. I mean, a hair is a hair. But we do want to hold it in place since I'm not using the heat and bond for this project. So pin. Come over here and pin. Just enough to keep it so when I go to head stitch, I can remove that one, stitch, and then I'll pin across the top here. And by the time I need to remove it, the rest will be stable. Both of those are ready to go. So I'm just going to go ahead and blanket stitch around on both. And I'm going to go ahead and cut up 2 of these guys. Get them pressed. Cut out the 2 squares that I'm going to need. I am going to use polyfill. I'm going to treat them more like a pillow, not a pin cushion. And of course, not like a pillow to sit up against, but more of those decorative ones that people can put in those 3-tier displays or in the corner of a bookshelf or however they decorate in their sewing room. It's just something fun and cute. So yeah, let me go ahead and get those 2 blankets stitched around. And we will be back to talk about the final process. Alrighty. The scalloped heart has been hand stitched to the one with the SF101. I've done that to both. And now I'm going to start the process of putting some pom-poms. It was too cute. I couldn't help myself. So in the end, when the pillow gets pieced, the pom-poms. But I wanted to show how I'm attaching them. Yes, they could be pinned or glued or, basted to where you go all the way around. But I was really worried about these corners, trying to fold and flip and do all that fun stuff. So I actually go ahead and take the strip of pom-pom. I come in anywhere between 1/8 and 1/4, and that's where I start to stitch it. I do make sure that I have about 1/4 inch before that first one starts. I stitch it really, really, really close to the edge. And I'm on a straight stitch machine. If I was on a zigzag, I could do it with a zigzag machine. Come all the way across. The other side is the same way. About 1/4 inch. And then I have that small gap there. I do melt my edges. Most of these are polyester blends. So right here where I have that gap, where I've cut those 2 apart, I do go ahead and just briefly do that. Squeeze it together. And that just helps any future raveling. I will go ahead and do the top and the bottom. Once both of those are done, I will come in with my sides. Now I can place that little piece making a new corner, an empty corner. Let me get the second one on and I'll go ahead and show you guys. Okay, so that one's been stitched on. So now I have both of those. I'm going to come in here, measure, but I'm going to measure just that hair in, leaving that small little gap, because we're going to end up 1/4 of an inch with our back later. And we just, because we're going to end up having to trim that corner out of there. It's a little bit more work to do it this way, but in the end, it solves some of those bulky, chunky machine just didn't want to go through all those layers. So now when I'm measuring, I'm actually hitting a pom-pom here. So I can scooch myself just a hair, go ahead and trim here, and then place it into the middle. So every now and then you might lose a pom-pom, and that is okay. So I'll come in. Don't mind all the fuzzies attached to it. And then just find the center. It's okay if there's even more of a gap. I'm okay with that. Again, because of that bulky corners, they're just going to end up being trimmed later. So I'm going to do that to this side, and then come back and attach the backing. Real quickly, I did want to show. Sometimes we lose one, and that's okay. He's just going to get cut off. Go ahead and melt that corner down just a hair. Measure it out. And then on this side, we're good to go. We'll just slice right here in the middle of both of those. I mean, losing one little guy is not gonna hurt. So yeah, you can keep him. You can add him to a project later. You can toss him. Turn it into the nose of a stuffed animal or the tail of a rabbit. I mean, seriously, there's uses for them. But yep, let me go ahead and attach those. So I'm actually going to come on in here with my back. I'm going to go ahead and use my pressing mat that has the 1/4 inch guide. I'm only going to do this marked seam for one of the sides. Reason being, when I go to do this and I'm doing my 1/4 inch seam, I'm going to have to use a really skinny foot, maybe even the zipper foot. We'll see when I get to the machine. When I go to do this, I have to leave an opening to stuff the pillow. Well, I also want to hand stitch that closed, but I'm going to want a 1/4 inch seam at the top of this 1/4 inch lacy stuff. So I have a clover pressing tool, and what it does is it lets you create a specific seam. So I can hop over, and I can even do a 1/2 inch, right? And line yourself up with that purple line. So when I go to close it, I can choose to hand whip it on this new pressed edge, or I can choose to go in there with the double-sided adhesive, Steam-A-Seam. I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know the name of the stuff because I don't have the package. I opened it and I stuck it in a little pocket. It's this stuff. One side has paper. You pull the paper off. It sticks to the fabric. You go ahead, hand seal it all closed. Then you can take the iron. The iron makes it permanent. So when it comes to that time and I go ahead to stuff, we'll see what I choose to either hand whip it or to use that. So I've gone ahead and stitched it back to the front, flipped it, stuffed it with polyfill. And now it's just the decision. If I hand stitch it, right, because remember I pressed that earlier, so there is a nice little crease there. If I hand stitch it, I would pin or clip and then have to weave my stitches through the pom-poms. Or I can grab a couple inches of this stuff, stick it to the backing fabric, stick it to the trimming pretty much, and then go over to the iron, use the tip of the iron and heat seal that close. So I do think that's what I'm gonna do. I still have the other one to finish, so I mean, the other one I can always hand stitch and just, we can see what the differences are. It's telling me 2 inches, so I'm actually gonna cut it at 1 3/4. I like to do it just that hair shorter to get it in there. I found when I try to do it the exact same size, it wrinkles and bubbles, and we don't want that. So we have our pink backing where we did fold. What was kind of neat was I was actually able to use that little seam earlier when I went to go stitch across that bottom where the trimming on the pom-pom was. Go ahead and get that in there. So it's half on the folded, and then it's going to be half on. That way it kind of just holds that seal into place. The not so fun part of trying to pick this edge, which I'm sure I could just do off camera. Make sure all your little ball out of the little hole. Go ahead and close, close, close. You can use the heat of your fingers just to help hold that still. You can come in here with some wonder clips even, just to help hold it until you can get to the iron. Or get the iron hot. Let me see if mine's still on. Give that a second to heat up. Doesn't turn off, but it does go into that safety mode. One, two, three, 4, 5. So it's somewhere in between these 5 little guys. I'm actually going to tuck those under, so I know that I'm going to focus the heat here. Remember, it's only that little 1/4 inch piece of adhesive. It really doesn't need to be like pressed. Just use the tip of your iron, get that heat going where that sticky stuff is going to be. I'm trying my hardest not to actually press onto the trim, right? Ta-da! I'll get a little pair of tweezers, tuck that piece in. So, all closed up. Don't have to hand stitch. It is popping right there. Get back in here and try to see if I can heat that up. And if it doesn't work, or if it's not closed enough to your liking, you can still hand stitch it or make the little sticky stuff longer. But look how super cute. First one ever, and I recorded it, so there might be some flaws or some things that we can do differently next time. Mixed and matched a couple different little hobbies here. But I am quite pleased. I'll go ahead and finish up that other one. So real quickly, after I went back and looked at it, even though I did use the Steam a Seam stuff, and I love using this, I did not like how open and gappy it was. So I did go back in and hand stitch it, which I'm going to go ahead and do to number 2. Okie dokie. So here they both are. Super cute. I'm very happy with these, especially for a first time project, which you just got to follow along with me while I rambled and tried out and took chances. I mean, I know it's not like a tutorial, but it's also, hey, come along with me and enjoy the ride while I try something new. So here's the pink heart on the cream scallop, on the cream polka dot with the pink polka dot with the cream pom-poms, and then the cream heart pink scallop multi-print with that same cream. Now, these I did get at my quilt shop. She has some older pieces of lace and pieces of trimmings and some really neat stuff. She's been there 25 years. Some stuff just doesn't sell out. We all know that. But I did want to show you, get those to sit up. I was able to find these during the holidays at the Dollar Tree. I have holiday colors, right? So for $1.25, I was able to get 3 yards of red, 3 yards of white, and 3 yards of green. These I had ideas for Christmas ornaments and stuff. I was originally going to use the white because of the polka dots, but I really liked bringing out that cream. It makes it a little softer. Even here, to me, that blends better than that did. So I did, these are bigger. They are spaced further apart. But they would still have worked in this situation. But again, I used scraps. The wool came from Benzie Design, which was a Valentine pack, so it had multiple pretty colors in it. Alrighty, and there's that grunge on the back. Use some polyfill. I do have a big, huge box of it. I think it's like a 5-pound box. On that, I don't get from small independent shops. On that, I do wait for a really good Joann's coupon. And just, 40%, 50% off. Get the huge box of it. But, thanks so much for watching. I hope you lasted through this whole video to see the end. If you like what you see, please like, comment, subscribe. I greatly appreciate it.